Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this high-level virtual meeting of the UK-funded Engine 2 program. Let me say that Mercy Corps has come a long way with the Engine 2 program in what has indeed been a remarkable journey. With 13.2 million children out of school in Nigeria and about 60 million adults also lacking basic literacy skills, the Engine vision is for all marginalized Nigerian girls to transform their futures by fulfilling their potential in education and decent work. The Engine vision is to harness the power of women and adolescent girls. Girls like Fatima Ahmed. Fatima Ahmed is one of 18,000 girls supported by the Engine program in the FCT. Fatima dropped out of school in primary 6. By age 15, she was married off due to the conflict in the Northeast and fear of abduction. 2 years later, she was already with 2 kids. Life was looking bleak, but the Engine program completely altered Fatima's life as she was supported to go back to school alongside earning a vocation. Her husband, her brothers were also encouraged to do the same after seeing her success story. So we can see the impact, not only in terms of education, but also in terms of economic transformation. It's stories like Fatima's that are the reason why we cannot but celebrate the impact of the Engine program enough. From April 2017 to September 2020, we have seen the tangible impact of the Engine 2 program in 3 critical ways. 1, improving learning outcomes of marginalized girls. 2, creating economic opportunities and business expansion for these girls. And 3, expansion of protection policies and practices. The Engine program is one in which Mercy Corps in Nigeria and globally is truly proud of. I would therefore like to seize this opportunity to sincerely thank our stakeholders, which include our donors, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, formerly DFID, our many partners, which include Action Health Incorporated in Lagos, Tabitha Kumi Foundation in Abuja, Kindling Hope Across Nations in Kaduna, and Society for Women Development and Empowerment in Nigeria, which is based in Kano. I would like to thank our media partners and, of course, the Engine girls themselves who have made this a reality. Time would literally be insufficient to mention each and every one and highlight the critical role you have played at various levels in making this a success. We certainly wouldn't be celebrating these successes without you. In continued partnership with our stakeholders, we at Mercy Corps are committed to ensuring that we are able to continue telling great stories, stories like Fatima's, stories that have the potential to change the trajectory of not just one girl's life, but an entire generation. I therefore welcome everyone to this high-level meeting, and I thank you for taking the time to attend.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. My name is Rahama Baloni. I'm a program manager at Mercy Corps here in Nigeria. And I'm here with my colleague who would introduce himself as well.
Timothy Zaka is my name, the Capacity Building and Programs Coordinator with Mercy Corps Nigeria under the Engine 2 program. I'm here in Abuja. Look at the right corner of your screen for those of us that are joining online from different locations. We would like you to introduce yourselves just like we did here in this order: your name, your organization, your designation, and the location where you are at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that instruction, Tim. Right before we start, we would just like to highlight some facts for everyone here with us today. Nigeria currently has over 13 million out of school children. 13 million, 1-3. That is a significant number, which may even form the population of a country. And out of that 13 million out of school children, over 60% are girls. And so Nigeria faces a lot of challenges in terms of empowering girls to access education, in terms of providing the enabling environment for girls to thrive, such as poverty, insecurity, and various challenges of governance that women and girls continue to encounter in their lives. And so we are here today to talk about the FCDO funded Educating Nigerian Girls in New Enterprises program, which ran from 2013 to 2020. And that means we're here to talk about 7 years of implementation, 7 years of groundbreaking work, trying to encourage girls to be to empower themselves, to be able to overcome barriers of access to education hindered by various factors such as poverty, insecurity, and poor governance, to be able to encourage girls to remain in school, which is hindered by so many factors, including inadequate infrastructure to cater to the needs of girls, and to encourage girls to move from one level to another, which is also hindered by poverty and an array of factors where girls are unable to move from one level of education into another. And so Mercy Corps, over the past 7 years, was able to reach over 21,000 girls. 21,000 girls across 4 locations. This is quite significant. However, more could be done, as you can imagine. And so without saying much, we would like to present a documentary, a very short documentary, to provide you with even more context about the journey of Engine from 2013 to 2020. Thank you very much.
Education plays a key role in the development of the individual, family, community, society, and country. More so, the education and empowerment of girls.
I dropped out of school due to the death of my mom. So I felt after her, I had nobody. So I stopped going to school. In the process, I was at home. Then I was assisting my grandma. She was not feeling fine though. So I thought of, let me just stay with her and let me be fine with her. So I made up my mind not going to school again. So after that, I heard of Engine program.
The Educating Nigerian Girls in New Enterprises, Engine 2, an adolescent girls education program, offered a mix of interventions to 5,853 beneficiaries in Lagos.
There was a day we were in class and we were told to do something about our dream, what we want to become in the future. So I started drawing, I started thinking, and there's this flash that came in that you need to do something important with your life. Like, I need a better future. So I told my mentor, my facilitator, that I want to go back to school. So she asked me again, are you sure of it? And I told her yes. I continued my education from where I stopped, SS2. I took my WAEC, I took my NECO, my final exam. Now I'm in University of Lagos.
The Engine 2 program is designed to enhance learning experience for marginalized girls, increase asset building skills and income generation, enhance life skills and training opportunities, improve gatekeeper commitment towards girls' education, and empower and expand protection policies and practices benefiting adolescent girls and young women in target areas and nationally.
By God's grace, I also want my junior sisters to continue their education and be a greater person in life.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning if you're joining us from other parts of the world. We are so excited to welcome you to today's meeting. We are very happy that you found time to join us. And today we are actually sharing the success story of our girls, and not just our girls, but also of ourselves, because we actually made this happen together as a team. We are very proud of the partnership that has made Engine work since inception in 2013 up to now. We are very grateful for everyone that has found time to join us. So right now, I have the task of highlighting what we did in close to 4 years in 10 minutes. So I'm going to run. And so I'm going to be sharing with us our intervention miss, what Engine actually achieved during this period of time. And so Engine 2 is an acronym for Educating Nigerian Girls in New Enterprises. It was funded by the, next slide, please. So Engine was funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, formerly known as DFID. And Engine is actually, with match funding, it was a grant of 6.2 million GBP. And we were able to target 18,000. You heard when my colleague said 21,000. That's actually from the first phase of the program. For this second phase, we were able to target over 18,000 marginalized girls, aged 17 to 23 years old. Our intervention was in 4 states, in Kano, Kaduna, FCT, and in Lagos. And we worked in over 194 communities, and we worked in 78 schools. We supported girls to fulfill their potential in education, in decent work, and in social inclusion. Engine 2 started from April 2013 and now running off in October 2020. I would like to share with us our program outcomes. What was the big thing that we were trying to achieve on Engine? So I will share our program outcomes, we'll share the intermediate results and everything. Then I will start going into the intervention mix of what was done. So Engine actually tried to enhance guest learning experiences, facilitate transition either to higher grade or to work. And also sustainability was a big part of our intervention approach. These were the 5 things which we refer to as our outputs that we worked to achieve with the over 80,000 girls we've worked with. So we enhanced learning experiences. I'm still going to tell you specific things that were done to enhance these girls' learning experiences. We increased their asset building skills, the ability to generate more income. We enhanced life skills, life building skills. And then we improve gatekeepers' commitments because these girls do not live in isolation. So the influencers around them needed to be improved and supported to be able to support the girls in return. And then we worked with systems, with the government. We have some of our partners represented in this room who supported the program in our expanded protection policies and practices. Our interventions are around improving attendance, teachers' quality, improving economic opportunities for the girls, including life building skills, and also enhancing school governance structure. I'm going to now talk in-depthly about each of the 3 outcomes that I've highlighted. I would like us to note that Engine implemented a girl-centered approach, which is very important in our social inclusion work. The girls were involved, the girls were carried along in making decisions that affect their future. The girls were engaged, the girls were consulted, and we worked together with the girls to achieve the desired change. So all the 5 areas I've highlighted, either in enhancing learning experiences, building assets, in the protection, in the life skills, and also in gatekeepers' engagements, because some of these girls actually led actions at the community level. All of this was done with the girl-centered approach, which ensures the engagement of girls fully. So quickly, because of time, I would like to go into each of the outcomes and then highlight activities that we have done specifically. So the very first one is enhanced learning experiences. And in the picture, we have one of our beneficiaries who was learning through the radio during the COVID period, where we provided interventions for continuous learning through radio sessions. So specifically under this outcome, we actually work to address barriers that limit girls from learning, and then to be able to build their functional literacy and numeracy, while also building teachers' capacity for learner-centered teaching delivery. For the learning experiences to be enhanced, we needed to work across different strata. We worked at the girl level, at the school level, also Thank you. We built the capacity of teachers through the various professional teachers development training programs. We also had the cluster level coaching process for teachers to support themselves through peer mentoring. Then we had master trainers that were providing support for these teachers to be able to deliver, qualitatively, and these people also provided supervisory support to ensure that the teaching that the girls are, because for learning to happen, teaching needs to take place. And for learning to be effective, the teaching needs to be qualitative. So that was the approach that was employed. We supported also the school, because if you're talking about learning experiences, it's not in isolation. Also the school where the girl will learn, ensuring engagement with the school governors, through the education managers, through the principals, through the school-based management committees who provided support to the girls. In some of the schools, these SBMC's members provided chairs so that the girls can sit comfortably to learn, provided security gates so that the girls are able to learn, provided school development plans that ensure, a better learning environment. So all of this is just like an overview, a snapshot of what was done to enhance learning experiences. I'm sure at the breakout session, which we're going to have very shortly, we'll be able to discuss more in-depthly about these approaches. The second thing that was done is around transition. So for transition, we supported girls to move to higher level of education, and also we supported girls, to be able to gain meaningful decent work, and also we supported girls to expand their businesses. Remember that Engine 2 is a continuation of Engine 1. So we tried to meet these girls on their journey where they are from Engine 1 and to take them further. To be able to help support girls to move to higher level of education, we provided intensive coaching, we provided bursaries because research has shown that a lot of girls drop out at that transition phase when they are about to write an exam, either at GSS 3 to SS1 or even from SS3 to higher education. That's actually a point where a lot of these girls drop. So we supported, to close that gap by supporting them with bursaries, by supporting them with coaching, and also supporting them to write transitional exams. We provided financial education and business skills for girls, which helped them in their businesses to be able to expand their businesses. We also supported them with business grants in form of equipment to be able to take their business to the next level. We have quite a number of success stories that we are going to be sharing with you at the end of this dissemination. We provided skills building to girls so they're able to gain more income. We supported girls with internship and apprenticeship placement so they're able to experience the world of work, and then they build their skills and readiness, work readiness, to be able to engage meaningfully. We supported girls to create cooperatives, which serves as a platform for social network and building assets. We supported girls with mentoring and linkages to experts within their community so they can continually be in business and have a referral point when they have challenges. We provided non-cognitive skills that help learning to be more practical, psychosocial support, so that girls, if you look at the video we showed earlier, It wasn't so much about what the girl was learning in terms of subjects, but an activity, that asked her what she wants to do in the future was actually what caused the change in her life. So all of this is a mix of our intervention, both at the safe space and also outside of the safe space. The last thing I'll talk about is our sustainability approach. We created a participatory process in decision making that ensure that our girls, that ensure that the influencers around them, the gatekeepers, and also the policymakers are able to make meaningful decisions that support the progress of these girls and that help them to thrive. We supported the girls with knowledge training on protection, so awareness on protection, and also developing action in terms of code of conduct, referral protocol for the girls to be able to stay safe. I've talked about the school development plans earlier. We mapped and provided linkages to services in the community, and also we built the capacity of stakeholders in gender equality and social inclusion. We have gender champions across the communities where we are working that support these girls. And we promoted gender equality because for girls to be able to thrive in education and meaningful work, then barriers need to be taken off. And these barriers are mostly fueled by gender inequality. So this was something we also addressed. Because of time, I would like to stop here. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to put that in the comment section. We will come back to your question, and if time permits, we'll be able to respond. We can also respond to you directly at the comment section. Again, my name is Joy Aderele, and I'm so honored to be with you today, and I want you to just sit back as we continue the program. If we have the minister online now, we want to take the minister's opening remark before we break out before we go into the breakout session. If not, we will do the breakout session, and when we come back, the minister will be with us to speak with us. Thank you one more time, and sit back and enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Joy, for that insightful presentation. As you can see, the strategic approaches that were adopted to address some of the barriers that we spoke about earlier, in terms of barriers of access to education, staying in school, which is retention, and transitioning from one phase to another. Engine has been able to successfully implement that. Mercy Corps has been able to push for girls' education and empowerment across the states that we worked in. And so, moving from Joy's presentation, as she mentioned, we would be breaking out into 3 sessions. And so, in 3 of these sessions, room 1, you would be hearing first-hand information directly from the girls who have been a part of this program, who would share their experiences with you and tell you about some of the efforts they've made and about their journey. And then in the second room, we realized that some of our interventions are not possible without our community facilitators. And so without our community facilitators. And so in the second room, you would also be hearing from the facilitators who have been able to engage with these girls from 2013 to 2020. In the third room is very important to us because we're very, very big on sustainability, on ensuring that every step of the way, the critical stakeholders that need to be carried along are carried along. And by that, we mean the government stakeholders. And so the third room would have representatives from the Ministry of Education, as well as education agencies, who would also share with you their experience in collaborating with Mercy Corps in delivering the engine interventions in these locations that we had mentioned. And so our online, these rooms would be supported by a technical specialist who would coordinate the conversations in each of the rooms. And so we would be calling on our IT support, who would control the allocation of the rooms. For some of you, you have already been assigned rooms. However, for those of you that haven't been assigned rooms, please don't panic. Our IT support would allocate rooms to you. If you look at the panel on the online platform, okay. And so, so what we are hearing is that the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs is here with us today and will be joining us now. Thank you. She's represented by Princess Jummai, who is going to share a short message with us today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Mr. is still cancelled. Today is Wednesday, and we all know what Wednesday means for the meeting in Nigeria. So she has asked that I read her message to this all-important event. I hope the technology does not come again. I thank the organizers for inviting me to and commend their poster, Adolescent Girls, which is very dear to my heart. Upon resumption of office as Minister of Women Affairs, I had announced that girl child education would be one of my priority areas of focus so as to scale up the enrollment, retention, and completion rates of girls in school. The girl education of the circle of life, and without her, therefore, life is extinct. If she's well trained, the family benefits, the society is better, and the nation is enriched. Between inequities in education to protection issues, adolescent girls are uniquely impacted and should benefit from targeted investments and programs that address their distinct needs. An empowered adolescent girl is the answer to the current problems bedeviling the Nigerian society. Therefore, in her formative and later years, nothing should be spared to ensure that she attains her full potential. The Beijing Platform for Action captures the girl child as the 12th critical area of concern. It specifies the expectations to ensure that lives a healthy and fulfilling life deprived of discrimination. This includes eliminate all forms of discrimination against girls, eliminate negative cultural attitudes and practices against girls, promote and protect the rights of girls and increase awareness of their needs and potential, eliminate discrimination against girls in education, skills development and training,
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately,
eliminate discrimination against girls in health and nutrition, eliminate the economic exploitation of child labor and protect young girls at work, eradicate violence against
Hello, everyone. Sincere apologies for the technology glitches. I think we have lost connection with the Honorable Minister's representative. So if we can still take that, we'll probably take it later. But right now,
I'm online. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'll keep trying, but I'll share the speech with you at the end of it all.
Very well.
Although Nigeria has made steady progress in the rights of the girl child, discrimination and violence against girls and violation of their human rights still persist. Girls are estimated to constitute the highest number of the 13.5 million out of school children and those not receiving any form of training. Available statistics show that girls are more likely than boys to be out of school at both primary and junior secondary levels. 32.4% of girls as against 26.9% of boys. Average enrollment rate 63% female, 58.4% regional variations ranging from 80 in the southern states to 30. The effects of COVID-19 pandemic have further jeopardized the gains recorded in the past in promoting and programming for the girl child. Even as we speak, in the Nigerian community, an adolescent girl has just been raped by her father, uncle, or close relative. Another one has been kidnapped for ransom, while another has just been denied the right to being born a girl. Yet another will be genitally mutilated as a result of cultural beliefs. One has been sent off to help to support the family livelihood, another denied some nutritious food. The silent question always is it a crime to be born a girl child in any society? Daily we're trying to end rape culture and catch one rapist. Our musicians, through their music, are grooming 5,000 others by portraying girls as sex objects, as they have a huge following of young people, including our children. The events that are locked in our land, more than ever before, the surge in the number of rape cases recorded across the country is alarming. We have had increase in the number of reported cases of child molestation, especially girls, in schools by caregivers, sex for marks, even at the primary school levels. Rape of young girls on the way to school, poor water, hygiene, and sanitation conditions, which keep girls out of school during their mental abuse, ignorance on the part of parents, hidden charges on the cost of education, even when education is said to be free. Education is a fundamental right of every child, even the girl child, as articulated in the National Policy on Education. As schools resume, we are aware that some girls might not return to school as a result of gender-based violence or loss of livelihood suffered by the this time, and to sound a clear note of warning to all school administrators in both public and private schools to desist from the old practice of shaming, ridiculing, or expelling a girl child from school because she was raped and subsequently became pregnant. It is no longer acceptable. The girl is always a victim, while the male culprit is left off the hook. I am not sure this is time when we must, as stakeholders, all resolve to make a difference in the life of an adolescent girl in our communities or in communities around us. Therefore, leveraging on the positive political will of the current administration, the child rights are do so. We're also beginning to record more successes in the Northeast and Northwest that we're lagging behind in this. We're all conversing for the domestication of the VAP Act to give credence to our efforts and the efforts of organizations working to raise the profile of girls. As we continue to widen the scope of the ministry's partnership in delivering on the goal of educating the girl child at all levels, it is the time to rally round to support more girls in school. I hereby invite the message in this all-encompassing project, Child Campaign to Support Girl Child Education in Nigeria, which we flagged up as part of activities of the 2020 International Day of the Girl Child. The goal of this project is to increase the current number of girls in schools at all levels by addressing the structure of an effective education program for the girls. This is the provision of basics and in the communities where these girls reside. The idea is to address the issue of poor menstrual hygiene among our girls. While I commend the work that has gone on from the first project,
Sorry, Princess. Sorry about that, Princess. We hope you are feeling better.
I just want to say thank you to Mercy Corps and to FCDO, the Adolescent Girls who were participating today, Government of Nigeria, and so many local partners and stakeholders for this incredible event and for the opportunity to listen in and learn more about Engine and Engine 2. It's evident from the learning session that I just participated in that Engine has addressed the barriers that limit girls' access to education and economic opportunities, and really do foster an enabling environment for girls to thrive. It was a pleasure to hear from many of the girl participants what they are now doing, such as Aisha, who is saving and diversifying her funding and really investing in her future. Can you hear me now again? I noted how important it is for Mercy Corps and for any organization that's implementing girls' education programs to listen to adolescent girls and their communities and to ensure that we are adapting and tailoring interventions to meet their unique needs. It certainly was evident that what we do in Kaduna is going to be very different than what we do in Lagos, and what the needs are of girls in Kaduna are different than the girls in Lagos, and in the importance of listening to them and designing for them. So for Mercy Corps, young people are really the leaders of not just tomorrow, but of today. And that's why it's so important, and that's why it compels us to invest in young people and in their future. And Mercy Corps' global strategy highlights the importance of investing in young people, particularly adolescent girls, because we know that transformational social change depends on their meaningful inclusion and their continued engagement. We work with girls and their community support networks to develop pathways to education and learning, life skills, and safe and decent work. And our adolescent girl programming spans from Asia and Africa to the Americas and to the Middle East. And it's aimed at making sure girls stay in school or get back to school if they've dropped out, or master basic reading and math skills to make successful transitions to work, safe work, to secure the social and economic assets they need to make healthy decisions, and for safe livelihoods. We reach adolescent girls primarily in these fragile contexts across those continents that I mentioned. And in addition to the incredible impact of Engine on 21,000 girls across Nigeria, I also just wanted to share a few other examples of our partnership with adolescent girls. So across the dry lands of Kenya and Uganda, 30,000 pastoralist girls have met weekly with mentors to learn their skills, to learn basic literacy and math skills, financial and entrepreneurship skills, and how to care for livestock. And as a result, we've seen increases in girls' decision-making within their households. We've seen them increase access to market opportunities. And we've also seen many of these girls, similar to Engine, join formal schooling programs. And in the Sahel, we've got girls in over 100 communities who are meeting in safe spaces to learn about reproductive health, improved nutrition, financial literacy, and early marriage and how to avoid early marriage. And many of these girls have signed contracts with their communities to stay in school for 2 years, finish their primary school, in order for them to enroll successfully into 6th grade learning. In the Middle East, we have inclusive education programming that supports children with disabilities enroll in school and provides personalized education support through teacher assistants who are trained in inclusion and integrating children with disabilities into the classroom. We provide them with resources, additional training for the teachers as well, rehabilitation services such as physical, occupational, and speech therapy, and we ensure that the schools themselves infrastructure is inclusive. We work very closely with the ministries of education in all of these programs, including with our inclusive education programs, to make sure that all educators and learners and facilitators of learners know how best to incorporate an inclusive classroom, both informal classrooms and formal classrooms. Our education approach includes adolescent learning outcomes, as you heard from Engine, along with those efforts to build leadership, confidence, life skills, as well as those that you need to successfully transition into safe and decent market-driven economic opportunities. These all very similar to what we've heard about Engine and being a very important holistic package of support for girls. And we know that this is particularly important for girls and making sure, again, to keep them at the center of our programming and understanding that their needs are going to be very different in every single one of these contexts. They each bring their own lived experiences. We also believe in fostering a strong and supportive enabling environment for girls, something that Engine has done really well. And this means working with the communities, families, institutions, and the private sector to break down the barriers that stand between girls and school enrollment and income opportunities. And we work closely with community-based mentors and coaches to shift the attitudes around the importance and the value of girls' education. We link older girls to livelihood opportunities and access to financial support and financial assets. And we support productive roles for girls in communities, in their structures and in their processes. We want to make sure that we're improving teacher skills, supporting psychosocial support for girls, and similar to Engine also, strengthening and expanding the protective policies and practices around protection to keep them safe. We have launched recently a new 3-year agency-wide gender equality and social inclusion strategy that highlights our organizational commitment to delivering for everyone and leaving no one behind. And it really is grounded in the principles of fairness, equity, and justice, which I think are very similar to the principles that have and the values that have designed Engine 2. My great thanks and appreciation to Engine 2 and everyone that's been involved. I think it's a model program that represents Mercy Corps' global capacity quite well. Congratulations on a successful program.
And good afternoon, everyone, and thank you once again. So I'll just go in straight to talk about Mercy Corps Nigeria's market systems development and resilience approach. Mercy Corps Nigeria adopts a market systems development and resilience strengthening framework to increase economic growth and development, both in and out of crisis contexts in Nigeria. This approach focuses on stimulating changes, systemic changes, within sectors with significant entrepreneurship and employment opportunities for youth, women and men, such as agriculture and ICT, that's information and communications technology, especially through facilitation and partnerships. The approach emphasizes high quality market assessments and research to determine the best leverage points for interventions that contribute to the resilience of young people, households, market actors and systems, promotes labor and employment opportunities, and influences the strategies of other market actors in the aid sector. As an agency, Mercy Corps recognizes that we often work in thin markets affected by crisis and dysfunctional systems and infrastructure. And so while we may provide direct support to young people, households, and communities to help them meet their basic needs or address barriers to participation in markets, for example, by building life and financial literacy skills and providing grants for equipment, as has been done on the Engine program, ultimately, we strive to aim for scale, sustainability, and impact by working as facilitators via strategic partnerships with market actors and stimulating systemic and widespread changes in these sectors. By applying a market-based approach to our development programs such as Engine, we move beyond the direct delivery of aid to working with market actors and institutions that can more effectively and durably support desired well-being outcomes for our participants, whether it's supporting their basic needs, providing learning and educational services, or accessing financial services, or even improving business opportunities. Our market systems development approach goes hand in hand with our resilience, peace building, and technology for development work, as programs look beyond short-run individual interventions to seek transformative outcomes across social, political, environmental, and economic systems. In this way, our market systems and livelihood strengthening looks to help market actors and systems develop resilience capacities to cope, adapt, and improve the well-being outcomes for targeted vulnerable groups in the face of risk and challenges, such that market systems, like I said earlier, whether they be agriculture or ICT or whatever systems, can continue to promote resilience, recovery, and growth for our vulnerable groups or our target groups. Once again, congratulations to the Engine team on a significantly successful program. Thank you.
Coach, when it comes to engagement and influencing, we have our Deputy Chief of Party on the SIP project to come discuss that global approach with us. Thank you, Sani.
Thank you very much. Let me begin by congratulating my colleagues on Engine program for successful intervention. My name is Sani Suleiman, Deputy Chief of Party Community Initiatives to Promote Peace. At Mercy Corps, we work with governments, institutions, local leaders, civil society organizations, foundations, and businesses around the world to ensure that the voices of the people we work with are heard and that they get the support they need to strengthen their communities from within. Our teams and partners advocate for good policies and best practices to our programs. So our programs make a wider impact, create lasting change, and functions effectively and efficiently. And in the work we do as Mercy Corps, we rely on the voices of the people that we work with. And with our support and our help, we ensure that the people we work with are able to actively engage with their respective government and key influencers in their communities to make their community and society better. Since 2012, Mercy Corps has been working in Nigeria and has been working in some of the hard-to-reach communities across the central part of Nigeria, northeast Nigeria, northwest Nigeria, and even southern part of Nigeria to deliver urgent, life-saving assistance and to build the resilience of Nigerian communities. We partner with local communities to empower them towards recovery and prosperity. We work with them to addressing root causes of ongoing conflict and insecurity and also inequality. Our work positively impacts the lives of over 600,000 people across the country through our different programs such as Engine, Community Initiative to Promote Peace, and several other programs that we have across the country. To do this work effectively, we recognize the place of government and the role of government policies in enhancing the work that we do. This is because Mercy Corps recognizes the fact that the work we do is either complementing what the government is doing or filling the gap or strengthening the linkages of making our communities and societies better. So therefore, in designing our programs, in implementing our programs, from inception, we factor the fact that our programs will make better impact if we engage with relevant government agencies, department. And we have heard from the horse's mouth here how Engine work with the Abuja Universal Basic Education Program, how it worked with the Adult Learning Program. The same thing with all our programs, and we do this to influence policies and governance through our different approach. One is building capacity. Two is influencing policy through policy dialogues, policy analysis, and policy engagement. We have seen evidence of how Engine as a program has supported government policy around education, teacher capacity building, enhancing access, and also conducive learning environment, especially for the girl child, but not only for the girl child, also boys who also need to understand the girls, to stop contributing in discouraging girls to go to school, but to be partners with the girls in going to school. These are key and important aspects of our work. Of course, we also work with government agencies, ministries, and departments to ensure that through the work we do, we collaboratively work together, pull our resources together to ensure ownership of our intervention as an organization by local authorities, local actors, and local stakeholders, and also to ensure sustainability. And today, as evidence of our approach to influencing, we are seeing relevant government agencies that are in place to take ownership of the structures that Engine has established in different communities where we implemented this project. I have here testimony from the Universal Basic Education on how they will take on and continue with the teachers that Engine has trained. Also, the adult learning, how they are taking over such structures for sustainability. For us at Mexico, working hand in hand, enhancing policies, supporting relevant government agencies, relevant government departments to ensure that we make our society, we make our community, state, and the nation better is our key approach to our work. And this is in total consonance with Mexico belief that a better world is possible, especially when we work together and influence good policies and good governance. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheila Uzo Onosanya. I'll be giving you highlights of the various evaluations that have happened on the Engine 2 program, so we can have just a brief summary of some of the achievements of the program and the impacts we have made and learnings that we have gotten from the evaluations we've had throughout the term of the program. Okay, now the story of Engine 2 started from Engine 1. And at the end of Engine 1, we were able to work with 21,000 plus girls. And this was expected that we're going to carry on with the same set of girls into Engine 2. So when we started Engine 2 at baseline, we were able to enroll over 17,000 girls on the program. As the program went on by midline, this number increased to 18,000 plus, which was the initial target of the program. By the end of the program, however, when we went back to track our girls, we realized that the girls we had left on the program were about 10,000 plus. And this was largely as a result of girls transitioning to higher levels of education, which meant that they left the communities where they were working or where they were attending learning centers and had gone to other communities where they were attending school. In some cases, it meant that some girls dropped out because they got married along the way and could no longer continue attending school or coming to our learning centers. Some girls just dropped out because they were no longer interested, but largely it was because of girls who moved to different classes, which was what the program was trying to achieve. Now, This more or less also outlines the 3 points of evaluations that happen on the program. So we had a baseline, we had a midline evaluation, and we had an endline evaluation. How were these evaluations done? So in terms of the methodology that was used, at baseline and midline, we used a mixed method approach using both qualitative and quantitative methods. But then we also had a longitudinal survey that was planned where we're using control groups and intervention groups, more or less to try and see if what we're doing is at par with others who are not having the same intervention. However, at endline, there was a change because COVID-19 happened. Our endline evaluation actually happened early this year, and that was when COVID was more or less at its peak in Nigeria. So the approach for that evaluation changed extensively. So at endline, we used a different approach where we more or less reviewed the results from our monitoring data and looked at some level of primary data collection where we did interviews with some stakeholders. Now, before I go on, I would like to mention that the external evaluator on the Engine 2 program was Oxford Policy Management, and they were responsible for conducting this evaluation at all the 3 time points. Now, let's quickly look at some of the results we have. We've talked extensively about the different arms of the Engine 2 program. Under the improved learning outcomes, the first thing we did was, first of all, conduct learning assessments for our girls. These learning assessments were done in 2 categories. For girls who were in school, we used what we called the secondary grade reading assessment and the secondary grade maths assessment. For girls who were out of school, we did what we call the early grade reading assessment and the early grade maths assessments. So these were the learning assessments that were conducted for our girls. However, this was only done at baseline and midline. And as I said earlier, because of the issues we had with reaching our participants during the COVID and the lockdown, we were not able to do learning assessments at endline. We also did the principles of adult learning skill with our teachers on the program to try and understand how they have adapted the learner-centered teaching methodology. And there were also qualitative interviews throughout the 3 time points where we interviewed girls, our teachers, and then the stakeholders that we have worked with. So I'm going to be highlighting some of the findings from these 3 point evaluations. So learning. At baseline and midline, we did the learning assessments for our girls across the states where we work. However, in Lagos State, we only work with girls who are out of school. So you would see on the slide before you that we have results for 3 states for girls who are in school and results for 4 states for girls who are out of school. And for us, it is very clear that between baseline and midline, we were able to move our girls up a bit in their literacy and numeracy outcomes. And where you see asterisks shows that there is statistical difference between the results we had at baseline and the results we had at midline. Now, around attendance and teaching quality, which was our intermediate outcomes, in the sense that we believe that for girls to improve in their learning, they have to, first of all, come to school. They have to attend the learning sessions. For girls to improve in their learning, it also means that these girls have to have quality teaching. So part of what we did was to assess what the program's intervention was around improving teaching quality. And for us, based on the targets that we had set in our log frame, at midline, it was clear that we had achieved our target for learning attendance for our girls. The midline and endline evaluation also highlighted some of the barriers that girls faced in being able to come to school or come to learning centers. And this was priority around economic activities and family chores. In other words, girls had to prioritize these going to the farm or engaging in any economic activity to support the family, or had to go home and attend to certain family chores. And these were some of the reasons why girls were not able to come to school. Next slide, please. Now, as I mentioned, oftentimes, okay, now we're moving very fast. Back, please. Back. So another area that the program also focused on was transition, which was our second outcome. We want our girls to transition to different stages of life, which the program director mentioned earlier. And around this, there were a series of interventions. In terms of results, next slide. So in terms of results, we realized that there were increased, girls were able to say that. Yeah, so at midline, we saw that 37% of the girls who were actively in business, supported by the program, had also increased their income as a result of the business that they were in. And some of them also attest to the business trainings they received at the learning centers, where Engine 2 was providing financial education training for the girls. However, the proportion of out-of-school girls who were actively involved in business decreased significantly between baseline and midline. And some of the findings from the evaluation showed that some of the economic challenges across Nigeria were some of the influences that affected our girls to continue to sustain their businesses at that level. And even at Ed9, it became clear to us that the loan opportunities that we made available to our girls were reluctant to taking some of these loans because they were afraid of defaulting in the loan payment. Another area of transition for the program was through different stages of education. And in terms of what the program was able to achieve, at the end of the midline, we realized that 92% of the girls who were in school were able to pass their English and maths in school. For us, this was major because for a girl to transition from one class to the next is not just moving to the class, but I wanted to make sure that the girls are passing their English and maths. And this was a good success for the project. And by end line, over 1,000 girls who were out of school had been supported to re-enter formal education, and they were able to pass their examinations. By examinations, we mean we supported them to write WAEC, NECO, and these girls were able to successfully pass and are currently being supported to different institutions across the country. Now, sustainability was one arm of the program, which if you were in the breakout sections, you heard a lot about what the program had done to try and ensure that once engine is ended, it will still be sustained at different levels. So for the program, sustainability was looked at 3 different levels. So we have sustainability happening at the school level, at the community level, and at the state level. For us at the school level, our results show that 60% of the school-based management committees in the areas where we supported had actively taken steps to advocate for girls' education within their schools and within their communities. At the community level, the faith and traditional leaders that we engaged with started to actively advocate for girls within their communities. And the evaluation pulled out a lot of beautiful stories of initiatives that had been taken up by these different stakeholders. At the state level, one of the huge impact that the program was able to have and was seen as our end-line result was that the National Commission for Mass Literacy and Adult and Non-Formal Education adopted the Engine 2 Code of Conduct across the 36 states of Nigeria. For us, this was a huge impact. This meant that Engine 2 is not just leaving, but then it has embedded something into Nigeria's education system that is still going to be there even after the program has left. Another huge area for us was around the child and vulnerable adults protection initiatives that the program had put in place. And the results from our evaluation showed that it was something that had clearly been established across the states. I'm going to end this presentation with a few recommendations on what we have seen from our evaluations to be something that we should consider. Now, the evidence we have seen from the 3-point evaluation says that barriers to girls' education extends beyond the individual's interest for education. In other words, girls may be interested to go to school. However, there are so many other socioeconomic reasons around them that makes it impossible for the girls to continue their education. Hence, there's also a need for continuous effective partnerships to improve teaching quality and invest in multi-sectoral interventions that will support girls to create an enabling environment, looking at what we have done around our sustainability approach at the school, community, and also at the state level. Additionally, one of the things that we saw throughout the course of the program was the fact that when you're working with girls of reproductive age, it is important that we consider how to incorporate reproductive health initiatives in these programs, because we had challenges where girls get pregnant, girls contract STIs, and some of these things affect our girls and are unable to continue their education at different time points. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila, for that wonderful presentation. I want to believe that we all heard that the program was impactful, innovative, influential, and of course, looking at the quality implementation across the 4 different program locations of Kano, Kaduna, FCT, and Lagos. Now, earlier on, we mentioned that Mercy Corps engine program funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office through the Girls Education Challenge implemented the Engine 2 program. Now, the vision of GEC is to improve the well-being of the world's most vulnerable girls through education. In the house, we have GEC and FCDO here with us, and they will be providing us with reflections on the Mercy Corps Engine program from their own perspective. We have Professor Frida Welfenden, who is the Education Director, Girls Education Challenge, who will be providing us with the reflections based on their own perspective. And of course, Janice Dolan, who is the Education Advisor, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Welcome, Frida Welfenden. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me here today to share some reflections with you. First of all, just a couple of words about the Girls Education Challenge, the transition phase that was set up in 2017. As we heard, the key purpose was to improve the learning outcomes of around 1.3 million girls across 16 countries, to enable them to complete kind of primary schooling and transition moving forward, whether into secondary school or perhaps into vocational education or into livelihoods, and also to pay attention to sustainability, to the changes in girls' lives, practices in communities, and system improvement. So it's been great to have Engine 2, led by Mercy Corps, with partners across Nigeria, as a member of the GCT community over the last 3 years. They've been a very active member of this community, working with, as we heard, up to 18,000 girls over this time. I think there are 2 things that really stand out when we talk about Mercy Corps in this portfolio of projects. One is the way in which the Mercy Corps Engine 2 project has worked with older girls in the GCT community. Many of the other projects have focused on much younger girls, and often I think older adolescent girls or girls, young women into their early 20s have been rather neglected. So it's been fantastic to have Engine 2 just doing a little bit there to redress the balance and showing us what is possible with older girls. Something else that has been really stood out from Engine 2 has been the focus on transition and vocational skills, on thinking about where girls can take their enhanced capabilities to help them to have choices and to lead lives that they want to lead and that are satisfying and enjoyable and healthy for them. So we've heard a lot about all the wonderful things that have been achieved by Engine 2. So I'm not going to repeat those. I just wanted to pull out here 3, I think, achievements or ways of working within Engine 2, which for me have actually been quite impactful across the whole of the GC community. So where other projects have been learning from Engine 2. So the first one really focuses on learning. And I think what has always struck me when visiting groups in Engine 2 or reading about their achievements has been the way in which you have not assumed that out-of-school girls are a homogeneous group. all too often people kind of lump them together. But as we've heard, you have paid attention to their learning needs, to their aspirations, really listened to them, engaged in dialogue with them, found out what that motivates them, what interests them, and then organized girls into groups to meet their learning needs. I was very struck when I went to visit one of the learning centres by the way in which the groups weren't divided because there were equal numbers of girls in each classroom, but they were divided up so that the girls were with somebody who was addressing the needs that those particular girls have. So it might be that there were just 2 girls really there learning to recognize letters, whereas there was a much larger group doing some much more advanced literacy work. So that work, which we've also heard referred to here as teaching to the right level, has been something that I think has been embedded in Engine 2's working, and is something that we have tried to encourage other projects in our GEC portfolio to take up. Yeah, that idea of really listening to girls and not treating them as a homogeneous group. I think something else that has also struck us about the work that has been going on in this project is the way in which there's been a real push to make the learning experiences authentic to the girls. So through the financial education, business skills, the health, the life skills classes, which the girls have obviously really enjoyed and which have focused very much on their lives, their needs, their interests, helping them to develop knowledge and capabilities that they can take forward within their contexts, but without restricting them in their aspirations. And I think we can see the emerging impact of that in some of the findings from the evaluation, where we hear about the self-confidence of the girls, the way in which they can be more articulate, because they've really engaged in that learning. I know that when I spoke to some girls, they were very keen to tell me how much they would enjoyed some of these aspects, like their life skills classes, because they could see how pertinent they were to their lives. And all too often we can kind of try and design classes which can seem a little bit remote from learners' lives. So that kind of making learning experiences authentic, I think, has really characterized what's been going on in Engine 2. And finally, just a real point about sustainability. We heard a great explanation of the sort of model that we have in GEC around sustainability at the girl level, the community and the system level. And one of the areas that Mercy Corps and Engine 2 have done some great work in has been around safeguarding and child protection. So at the girl level, it's really pleasing to read how girls are reporting that actually in classes, they feel they're able to make mistakes without being disciplined by the teacher or the facilitator. And seeing shifts in those practices at a local level is really important. We all know that learners don't learn very well if they're feeling anxious, concerned that if they say something that isn't quite right, that they will then be disciplined. So making those changes at a classroom level is tremendously important, but it's also critical to make changes at system level to support those changes at the classroom level. And it's been a real pleasure to read about how Engine 2 have been able to work with authorities in Kano and Kaduna, in schools and so on, to adopt some of the policies that they have around child protection and safeguarding. This is a real, I think, a tremendous step forward in this context. But it also illustrates, I think, how you have to put, how much resource and time you need to put in to making those changes at system level. And of course, the work isn't complete now. There's probably still a lot more work needs to be done to sensitize everybody and to change practices in every area of the system. But Engine 2 have made a really great start on doing that. I think finally, a final reflection perhaps on the work that's been done in this project in Engine 2 has been some of the ways in which they have tried to extend out girls' aspirations so that they can build pathways for girls into, say, less gender stereotyped roles. I think that's been incredibly difficult, but there have been some really small examples there which other projects and other girls and young women can build on to extend the range of possible livelihoods which girls are able to engage in. So just to finish, to say, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved in Engine 2 over the last few years. For us in the GEC, it's been a huge pleasure to work with you. Thank you very much for being such great colleagues, engaging in a lot of discussions, contributions to webinars and so on. And congratulations on the work that you've done, and we hope that it will continue to be taken forward. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. My name's Janice Dolan. I'm from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in Nigeria. I'm just going to say a few words about UK supports to girls' education, our work with Engine, and some reflections. As we've heard today, investing in girls and women is both the right thing and the smart thing to do, both socially and economically, and supporting education for girls and women gives them a greater voice to advocate for change in their own lives and the lives of other girls and women. And Engine has been a great example of the benefits of this. But we also know that not all girls and women have the same opportunity. And we've heard about a great many girls that are still out of school in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, we know that the girls constitute a tremendous untapped potential, and supporting girls' education is a key lever to enable Nigeria to harness the demographic dividend and to meet the sustainable development goals. These are the reasons why girls' education is a top priority for the UK government and our Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The UK government even has a special envoy for girls' education, Baroness Sugg, and we hope that one day that Baroness Sugg will be able to visit Nigeria and see some of the examples of the good work that is happening here. We believe as the UK government that every girl, wherever she is born, should get at least 12 years of quality education, and we're committed to accelerating progress towards getting marginalised girls into school, such as those that Engine's been working with, enabling them to stay there and stay safe and benefit from quality learning. And just saying those words, getting marginalised girls into schools, staying there, staying safe and benefiting from quality learning, you can see why the Engine project has been an important part of the work that FCDO has supported. As well as supporting Engine, we support projects at scale. Between 2015 and 2020, the UK supported at least 15.6 million children to gain a decent education, and of 8.1 million of these were girls. As it's been mentioned, Engine was funded through the Girls' Education Challenge, which is the largest global fund dedicated to girls' education, and was launched in 2012. Engine has been a key contributor, as highlighted by Frida as well. And for me, some of Engine's work will always be, when I think of Engine's work, I always think of a young woman called Fatima that I met late last year in Jibba community in FCT. On that day, we visited the community, and Fatima and the other young women that we met were truly inspirational. Their commitment to learning, their enthusiasm to engage, and the benefits they could tell us about from their engagement in the Engine 2 project. Before Fatima became involved in Engine, she was a housewife with a young child. She herself was very young, and she'd always wanted to learn and achieve, but had never had the opportunity to do so. So since entering the project, which helped her with childcare, she'd been supported to engage in flexible learning and further her education and vocational skills. She wanted to be a fashion designer Engine helped her to learn the skills to sew and budget and support her own business. Through Engine 1, she received a grant which enabled her to buy a sewing machine. And then in Engine 2, she learned the basics of tailoring and making goods at a local women's cooperative centre. But not only that, was she supporting herself and engaging with her family. She also had the confidence to lead some empowerment sessions for other young women and then support them to follow in her footsteps, which is what we observed her doing last year. So on behalf of FCDO Nigeria, I want to thank Mercy Corps for their support to empower and educate girls and young women in Nigeria over the last 7 years through the Engine project. And we've heard that since 2017, the second phase of Engine offered support to over 18,000 marginalised girls and young women across 194 communities and the 4 states already mentioned. With the programme closing this year, you know, we want to thank Mercy Corps and the partners who were mentioned earlier, but on behalf of FCGO Nigeria, we also want to thank the Society for Women Development and Empowerment of Nigeria, Action Health Incorporated in Lagos, Kindling Hope Across Nations Initiative in Kaduna, and Tabitha Kumi Foundation in FCT. And we want to thank you all for all the work done for the Engine project to support girls and young women in Nigeria, and to support the UK government as well to deliver on its commitment to ensure that the world's most marginalised girls are able to receive a quality education that will empower them and support a better future for themselves, their families and their communities. We know that there are key things from the final evaluation that Frida and others have reflected on that we will take forward from the work of Mercy Corps and partners, and I'm sure we will still engage with Mercy Corps and those partners in Nigeria and benefit from their learning. I know they're already engaged with other projects such as the World Bank project. I think 3 key highlights have stood out for me. That is the role of the Learning Centre facilitators, which has also been mentioned about how they were able to learn and start to use a learner-centred approach, and that the girls found that they managed to create an environment where girls felt safe but to make mistakes without fear of punishment or embarrassment, which is a reflection that Frida also made. And the girls reported having increased confidence in learning, and certain topics and subjects that were previously they were fearful of, they could now better understand and approach with confidence. And the way that Engine has been able to do that, to build up the confidence of those learning centre facilitators, will be something that we look to engage with in our other projects and learn from. Engine 2 also built girls' communication and assertiveness skills using those methods, so we could see the impact of those methods at the Learning Centre that encouraged the active participation of girls, such as role play, peer-to-peer learning and group work. And then also, as mentioned, the child and vulnerable adult protection protocols, with the strong evidence that Engine 2 led to the adoption of the child protection policies at the state, community and school level. And this is a substantial achievement of the Engine 2 programme, and that these protocols have been adopted by the 4 state governments for use across the states. We also noted some areas for future research and implementation that, as FCDO Nigeria and with our future programmes and working with Mercy Corps and other partners in girls' education, we will look to engage in, and that was the observation about continuing to provide teacher professional development that involves a strong focus on learner-centred teacher pedagogy, but also combines with a focus on the subject matter competency. The continue with the learner centre approach that builds girls' confidence, assertiveness and communication skills, and then continue to involve a broad range of stakeholders at state, community and school level on child protection issues, which is a very important issue going forward. So on behalf of FCDO Nigeria, I do want to thank Mercy Corps, all the stakeholders, the partners, and particularly the girls and other partners within the project, the learner centre facilitators, and many others involved for the great work over the last few years, but I'm sure we will stay engaged and continue to benefit from the work of Mercy Corps and partners, and that we will see some lasting impacts for the girls involved in the programme. Thank you.
Hi all. On behalf of Mercy Corps Nigeria, I wanted to once again thank our government stakeholders, partners, and communities for your support throughout the Engine program in creating a sustainable model for both in-school and out-of-school girls across Nigeria. I'd like to give a special mention to Professor Frida Wolfenden from GEC, Janice Dolan from FCDO, Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, directors from State Education Board and FCT Universal Basic Education Board, and of course the executive directors of Engine 2 implementing partners in Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, and FCT. We'd also like to thank our private sector partners such as Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola for their support, and once again express our gratitude for the collaboration and of course financial contribution of FCDO and the Girls Education Challenge. I wanted to take the opportunity to really emphasize Mercy Corps' commitment to addressing barriers that girls face and supporting and empowering girls across Nigeria to fulfill their potential. Our hope is that together with you, our partners, and the communities we work in, that we will continue to see lasting impact and celebrate progress every step of the way. With that in mind, thank you again for all of the attendees that have joined in on the conversation today, and we hope there are more to come. Thank you so much again.
Elevating suffering, poverty and oppression, I'm helping you build secure and productive community. In Mercy Corps, in Mercy Corps, change is possible, it's possible. We believe that every people deserve influence. In Mercy Corps, that's who we are, that's what we do.
Mercy Corps, that's who we are, making impact, touching lives. Change is always possible, powered by possibilities, innovation. All core, unity and diversity, every voice matters, that's who we are. 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 In Mercy Corps,